We are brought to you by our friends over at Bet Rivers. That man you see next to me, no hat today, hatless, is the one and only Jeffrey Goodman. Jeff, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, it's, I feel like I got to shake it up. I haven't been bad. I think I was like 500 last night. But for me, I've been a little cold. Now, again, I'm not Dauster cold. I'm not like,
dude, how about this? This is unbelievable. Everyone on the stream saw I scrolled through on my phone and randomly selected games. Yeah. You know what those random selections went yesterday?
Go ahead.
0-3. I just randomly picked games and it went 0-3. Right. So look, at least I'm taking some solace in this because I know that it's not me.
I gave you one game yesterday, though. I handed you one.
You did. So it's not me.
And if people aren't doing it, they should, because if you had followed yesterday, I put in a bet on BetSperts taking the Fordham Rams, the Jeff Neubauer-less Fordham Rams against UMass. Before it was announced that UMass was going to be without two starters, Noah Fernandez and Trey Mitchell, and Fordham covered fairly easily.
Mm-hmm. That was nice. It was a great. So it allowed me to go 1-3 yesterday, and I contemplated just throwing everything just empty out on it to try to get back. I got to make a comeback somehow.
And you only did one unit. That was the dumbest thing. You contemplated putting in 100 units, and you went from 100 to 1. Like, I thought for sure you put in like 5 units.
Well, here's the thing. Like, it's Fordham, first of all. Second of all, I haven't hit a bet in months, in centuries, and so I'm skittish, dude. I'm nervous.
You are.
Yeah, what do you want me to do?
Pulling the trigger for you has got to be. I mean, it's hard for me right now. I'm like 500 over the last. I looked at it over my last like 20. I'm like 10 and 10, and probably over the last 50. I'm probably 25 and 25 if I had to guess. And I'm a little skittish right now because I was so hot early, so hot. But we'll see. Hopefully we can get back going here. But man, was last night insane, Robert.
Yes, let's talk about that. What was the crazy? We had Villanova lose to St. John's. We had Houston lose to East Carolina. Virginia Tech lost to Pitt. We had it was just an insane night. Like what was the craziest thing that happened on what is it, Wednesday? Wednesday night.
I think it was Georgetown beating Creighton in Omaha. Like Georgetown stinks. They're not good. And they went to Omaha and beat a Big East team that I think has a chance to be a Final Four team. Now, again, I know you're going to laugh at me. I get it. Well, I still haven't.
That's why you think it's the craziest thing, because you have outsized expectations for Creighton. Creighton's ups and downs would not be disappointing for anybody that had realistic expectations of what they can be.
But losing to Georgetown at home, nobody thought that was possible.
Jeff, a serious question though. You do know that Doug McDermott graduated 6 years ago, right?
And you know what? To be honest, the problem with this team is Marcus Zagorowski is not playing like an All-American.
Well, I mean, I just don't think he's healthy, man. Like,
I agree.
Knee surgery, he's got the hamstring injury. Like, he ain't right. And the whole reason why you're betting on Creighton, like if you think they can make the run, it's because you think that they have an elite offense. Right. Then that's going to be spearheaded by the guy that was supposed to be like one of the top 2 or 3 point guards in college basketball.
Yeah, and he's not been that.
Again, it's not his fault. Like I don't think that he's right. So it kind of is what it is. So that's my biggest thing when it comes to Creighton and it comes to what's going on this season. For me,
they can't guard. Like they're not Iowa. Like that's the thing about Creighton is we've talked about this. Iowa is limited physically with what they're able to do defensively. Creighton is not nearly as limited, but some nights they look like Iowa defensively. They look terrible.
I mean, they are a little bit like when Marcus Zagorowski is kind of like the guy at the point of attack, and we're already talking about how he's not really healthy. Like that's
fine. But normally they're not a great defensive.
They don't really have a great rim protector. Like Christian Bishop at the 5 is like he's a
Kalkbrenner. I thought Kalkbrenner would be more of an impact guy by now.
But he's a freshman, and he weighs like 200. He probably weighs 30 pounds less than me, and he's 6'11". So that's
250 now.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm getting up there.
You're a truck now.
I'm getting up there. All right.
What was yours? What was your biggest shock?
So it was Houston, because how about this? I had no fucking idea that any of that was happening, because first of all, It was a 6 p.m. tip, right? And normally with the early tips, like I'll try, while I'm getting dinner ready and I'm getting like kids ready for bed and everything, like I'll just put the early game on TV so like I can listen to it and kind of track along. But I couldn't find the channel that Houston, East Carolina was on. So I was like, yeah, whatever. Like Houston's gonna beat them by 40. So like I had no idea what was happening until I got like 17 alerts to my phone that was like you tweeting Houston just got upset at East Carolina. This is karma for not playing Gonzaga or something like that. But like, wait.
You're like, what happened?
Houston lost at East Carolina? Come on now.
I was sort
Never
of
bet against Jalen Gardner. That's the moral of the story. Joe Dooley, the GOAT, never bet against Jalen Gardner.
Man, he was dominant last night. I mean, my daughter had to tell me, I'm with you. I didn't know the game started early. So she told me, she's like, hey, Dad, Houston's down 9. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, it ain't going to matter. It's East Carolina. Come on. And, I mean, the craziest part is Houston had the best defense arguably in the country. They were only averaging, allowing 56 points a game going into that game. And ECU and Gardner lights them up. What'd they end up with, 80-something?
82.
82. Listen, here's my thing. Houston's good. They're good. But I refuse to put them in the top 5 just because I felt like, all right, like who have they beaten since November? Who have they beaten? The AAC stinks. It's awful this year. It's a bad league. Now they beat Boise early. That was like Thanksgiving. And then they beat Texas Tech early, November 29th. And we both know if you get Texas Tech early, like here's that Houston-Texas Tech matchup was perfect for Kelvin Sampson. He returned his whole team from last year, right? His whole team, and Chris Beard had a completely different team. So if they play again in 2 weeks, who are you taking, Texas Tech or Houston? Come on.
I don't know.
You're taking Texas Tech. You're out of your mind.
You are much more enamored with this Texas Tech team than I am. Like I think that they've kind of like hung on for like their last couple of wins, right? It's not like they're
tough as shit.
Yeah, and that's great. And when you're scraping out wins, that says a lot about your competitiveness. It doesn't say a ton about how great you are. Like that's the kind of thing where I'm like, okay, well, they needed a miracle to beat Texas, right? They needed something of a miracle to beat LSU. They scraped by, struggled.
They needed good coaching to beat LSU.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too. They needed, they struggled with Oklahoma. They didn't look great against them. So that's the kind of thing where it's like, well, you know what, I'm going to try to fade them and try to find a spot where like I don't think that they'll cover. So I'm not. Look, I love the fact that they're winning, but I'm not overly enamored with how good Texas Tech is.
Yeah, they're not overpowering good. They're getting better. Here's my take. My take is they haven't hit their ceiling at all. Houston, right out of the gates, was so much better than Texas Tech. That's my point. And
Houston's also young too. You know, like Marcus Sasser and who's the I can never is it Tremel Mark. Awesome. Yeah. So like they're young too, and remember they lost one of their best players in the middle of the season. So it's not like they were a completely finished product right away. And look,
Mac had 2 points last night, by the way. 2 points.
As good as Chris Beard is, like Kelvin Sampson is a pretty damn good coach too.
No question.
So, like I'm not saying that that I'm guaranteeing a win for Houston, but it's not like I'm going to sit here and be like, yeah, Texas Tech is they're definitely winning. It's a much like if they played a 7-game series right now, like that thing will go 6 or 7.
Yeah, you're right. I just think it was, and I was being sarcastic with my tweet about it being karma, but think about this.
No, you weren't. Like, it really was. I believe in shit like that. It really was. That's what you get.
All right, fine.
That's what you get.
I believe it.
That's what you get for not wanting to, for playing Our Lady of the Lake instead of playing Gonzaga. That's what you get.
You could have played Gonzaga, Kelvin Sampson. You could have played Gonzaga. Instead, you chose to play Our Lady of the effing Lake. So you know what? I don't care about the travel. Like Houston fans were coming at me. Well, it was going to be so hard to travel to come in and go out. They're going so far away.
You just went to the East Carolina. Come on now.
And you have
the AAC. There's one other team in the state of Texas in the AAC. Come on, settle down. All right.
Here's what you have a chance to play the number one team in the country. You play them. You play them. It's a no lose. Now maybe he knew after the ECU game, maybe he understood. Same thing with Villanova, right? We can get to them next.
Well, let's get to them because I just tweeted this out. I asked all the St. John's fans that follow me to come join the stream.
Yeah.
And I want you to officially and formally apologize to Mike Anderson, apologize to the entire borough of Queens, and to apologize to everybody at St. John's University for slanderous takes, for the treachery that you've shown against this program. They are clearly the best team in the Big East. And look, Jeff, calling my shot right now. You ready for this?
Oh, Jesus. What?
On April 5th, when we are tipping things off for the Final Four, it's going to be Baylor, Gonzaga, St. John's, and Georgetown. Are you ready for it? Buckle up. Buckle up because it's coming, baby. Buckle up. The Big East is back.
Unbelievable. What a night. What a night. You have Georgetown winning at Creighton against the second best team in the Big East, and you have St. John's beating Villanova, the best team in the Big East, and the third best team in the country.
So in all seriousness, I'm curious your take on this. The Georgetown thing, like these are some good wins. I think that I think
doesn't say anything about the program.
Yeah, I think that Pat has this thing moving in the right direction. I do believe in him as a guy that can get teams better and that can coach people up. And so I like long term, I think that he's going to be okay. But this is just like they got hot a couple times and now teams are going to stop overlooking him. For me, I kind of actually think St. John's is really good. You know, like Posh Alexander can completely control a game, like with his ball pressure and getting out and playing in transition. Like the press is kind of working a little bit. I wasn't a believer because like this 4-game winning streak was like a shorthanded UConn, Utah Valley, DePaul, whatever.
Yeah, Butler, Marquette.
Like, you go out and you kick Villanova's ass like this. Like the thing is, they completely took Villanova out of everything offensively. Like they made them look so uncomfortable, and nobody does that to it. Like that is a veteran team that was leading the nation in turnover rate. Right, like they had the lowest turnover rate in all of college basketball, and St. John's came out there and like made them look like they were a bunch of freshmen. That's a senior point guard. It's Colin Gillespie. He's an All-American. He's won a title.
Yeah, no, listen, it was an impressive performance. There's no doubt. And again, the one against UConn without Bouknight, I was like, you know what? Honestly, good win, but again, it's a different deal without a lottery pick, in my opinion, in Bouknight. This one was against a Villanova team that didn't play well, but a lot of it had to do with St. John's and their defense.
Yes.
And their toughness. Like that's where I thought, again, you've got Champagny and you've got Posh, and those are two guys that could be all Big East caliber players in a year or so. So you've got a chance here in the future. I still want to see if they can sustain it against good teams in the Big East. Like, that's a one-off. St. John's Chris Mullen had one-offs. He beat Villanova, I think, a few years ago in a huge win. So to me, you know, you've got coming up now at Providence, at Butler. If you're for real, you win those both. You win both of them. If you're for real, if you're a tournament team, you win in both. If you're a bubble team, you probably split. Right? And if you're a fraud, you lose both of them.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. Like I remember – was it 2016, the Shamori Ponds year, where Mullen, like they were 0-11 in the Big East and they beat Duke at home and then they won at Villanova, and it was just like, what? How is that possible?
Right.
All right, so real quick, we just had one question in the chat that I wanted to bounce off you from John Mitchell. First of all, he calls you the king of college basketball, which like. Come on, this dude's ego is big enough, John. We don't need to be inflating it anymore. But he said, what are the recent rumblings regarding conference tournaments that you can share?
You know, I talked to Mark Few for a while yesterday, and he said, listen, he thinks they'll have a conference tournament at the WCC, but he doesn't know how many teams are going to play. Right now, you've got a bunch of teams that are on pause in the WCC. So, you know, could it be something different? I don't think they're going to go to Vegas after talking to him. I don't think Gonzaga is comfortable going to a casino in Vegas.
That would be a horrible idea for them to do.
Right. I mean, you're protecting right now an opportunity to win a national title. Now, he's like, I want to make sure we help out BYU and give Mark Pope and BYU a chance here to get to the NCAA tournament for our league. But I think everybody's got a different agenda. And that's the problem It's been the problem all along with college basketball. And it's the problem with the NCAA is Mark Emmert has no clue, and he can't get everybody together to be able to come up with one unified plan of here's how we're going to do the conference tournaments. Here's how we're going to play this. Instead, it's, and when I talked to Dan Gavitt, it's, hey, however these leagues want to do it for the automatic bid, the one bid leagues, they can send whoever the hell they want. They can send, we'll take them. Whoever their automatic bid is, we'll take them. So if they want to do a conference tournament, great. So I think it's just going to depend on how many teams opt out. And if it becomes a complete shit show, they cancel their conference tournaments. I have one mid-major coach text me yesterday and say, like, there's no way we should be playing a conference tournament. Now he's in first place in his league. So he's saying to himself, if we don't have a conference tournament, I get the automatic bid right now.
He's campaigning. He's campaigning is what he's doing.
Absolutely.
I don't blame him, man. I don't hate the player, hate the game. All right, so let's get into tonight's slate. We've talked enough about the other stuff. Just to let you guys know, if you've never placed a sports bet before, BetRivers Sportsbook has a great deal on Sunday's Super Bowl between Kansas City and Tampa Bay. If you sign up with BetRivers today and make a first deposit of at least $100 with the code BIGGAME500, you'll get up to $500 in free bets. All you have to do to unlock $500 in free bets is to make $100 worth of real money bets on the big game. There's never been a better time to get in on the action. Make your bets today at BetRivers Sportsbook. Go to betrivers.com today and bet with a winner. So use the code BIGGAME500, $500 in free bets. That's great for me because I can just lose it all right away in the next.
Big Game 500. I'm writing it down. I got it.
Big Game 500. All right, Jeffrey. Ohio State, Iowa, big game of the night. One of the biggest games of the season.
Wow.
Ohio State. It's a top 10 matchup, man. Like, how often do we get top 10 matchups?
Man,
so
Chris Holtmann, I gotta say, like, how much credit does Chris Holtmann deserve for being able to do this? He's played several games this year without a damn point guard. He lost after last season his two best, highest rated recruits, right? DJ Carton transfers out, and the rail thin kid, I can't remember his name right now.
Alonzo Gaffney.
Yeah, he went to JUCO. He's a top 100 kid. They're both gone. And I said this to Holtmann. I'm like, you're capped out. Like, there's no way you can be a top 10 team. I didn't have him in the top 25 in the preseason. I told him that he looked, he was like, you're probably right. Like, our talent. But you know what? And I said it last week, and I'm gonna keep saying it. EJ Liddell is playing like an All-American. Robbie Hummel kind of scoffed when I said that. But this kid has the toughness. He produces every night. He's got all the intangibles. I'm telling you, I'm not sure I'm taking 10 dudes over EJ Liddell. Like,
it's crazy that you say that because you're not wrong. He's having a fantastic season, but like there's also a very strong argument that he should be second team all Big Ten, which tells you all you need to know about how good the Big Ten is.
Yeah. I love him. I absolutely love him. And then I saw an interview they did. My boy Sean Farnham, they did an interview.
I saw that.
The kid, I had never talked to him. I've never talked to EJ Liddell. I'm going to tell Hummel, like, we got to get him on the pod. He was awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. That interview, I don't know where Farnham was, but he looked like he was lying on the behind him was the floor of like a gym. You know, the gym mats that have like the little marks on them for the grip for your shoes. Like, it looked like he was lying on his back on a gym mat. I was like, Farnham, where are you? You all right?
Farnham needs to
do you need us? Signal us to send help, right? Can you please hold up a newspaper that says with today's date on it, please?
Right, who do you like? Who do you like?
Ohio State is getting 5.5 on the road. The total is 156.5.
Yeah.
I'm not making picks today. I'm gonna do it random again.
And again, this didn't work. How about wait? I have another idea. I have a better idea. I have a much better idea.
What's that?
Where's your son?
At school.
Damn it.
At school.
God damn.
Can I get my daughter? I can get my daughter.
Yeah, just have her pick. Just have her just point to something.
All right, finish breaking out.
Go ahead. I'll talk about another game while you go get your daughter. All right. So obviously this is a huge one for both teams. I mean, Iowa's a team that when they're on, they're as good as just about anybody offensively. We know that. Ohio State has just been they maximize what they have. I don't know if I love this game, but I'm tempted to take Ohio State with the way that they've been playing, and just take the 5.5 at this point.
So she said, no, Daddy, no. So we don't.
Does she understand how much you need her?
Yes, she does. I tried to explain it to her, and she said, "No, Daddy, no." She's watching Featherweight, so it is what it is.
How old?
Did you take Ohio State in the under here?
I took Ohio State. I took the points.
Yeah, I like Ohio State.
I don't love it. I don't love it because I think Iowa potentially, if they get going, we know what they can do. I just think Ohio State is so disciplined, and so tough, and they're not going to be intimidated by any means. Again, the one problem I have, and I really think it's the way to go. If I'm playing Iowa now, I'm going to let Luka, I'm going to play him straight up. I'm going to let him go for your 30, 35, and we're going to make sure that guys like Bohannon don't get going.
Yeah.
Don't get going. That's the way to play them, is even play him straight up. Kyle Young, EJ Liddell, whatever you got to do. I know he's going to get his, but ultimately you can't let them get going from 3 or else you have no shot.
Yeah, and the other thing is EJ Liddell is the mid-range superstar, so he'll be able to pull Luka away from the basket a little bit. The thing that you really worry about with Ohio State is what happens when you have ball pressure and no point guards available. But I mean, Iowa's not going to provide that ball pressure. They're going to sit back in that 2-3 matchup zone that any smart coach is going to be able to kind of pick apart. So actually, the more that I think about it, I think I kind of like the over in this spot more than the under. I think that Iowa's going to be able to just about get what they want offensively, but I don't see Iowa stopping Ohio State. So the more I think about it, the more I like the over in this spot. So the over and Ohio State for me.
All right, my favorite pick of the day. Well, high major pick of the day. I got some mids later, but Minnesota Rutgers. I mean, again, I just feel like Rutgers hasn't done what they usually do with the rack. Obviously, they don't have the fans there. I get it. We've been through this with Minnesota. They burned me once, right? They burned me about a week ago. Who did Minnesota play on the road?
It was Maryland.
Right.
Maryland at home and got whooped.
Yeah. So I'm giving the 5 here and taking the Scarlet Knights, who are starting to play much better basketball. They're not great, but you're starting to see them get their mojo back a little bit, which is much needed. They're healthier. They've won 3 in a row, not against great teams, but whatever. They just needed to win games after that 5-game losing skid. So I'm going to take Rutgers, given the 5. It's a little bit high of a number, but I you know what? I actually would love to. I don't know what the money line is on that. It's probably really high for Rutgers. I'm looking at it right now. Well, I'll look at it after.
Jeff, let me ask you this: when Oregon had their games postponed last weekend, the UCLA game,
who was out?
Well, who was it? Because of Oregon, or was it because of UCLA? Where were the positive tests? It was on Oregon, right?
It was Oregon again. Yeah,
okay, so Oregon's played 1 game since January 9th.
Yeah, I'm taking Washington State.
In that game, they lost by 11 at home to Oregon State. Washington State is not great, but Kyle Smith is a really, really good coach. They do try to slow down the pace a little bit, and they have this season tended to play games fairly close, right? So I think that I like Wazoo in this spot.
I think that scares me now, because I did like Wazoo, and now I'm terrified. Because anything you do, if you pick a team, it just scares the living shit out of me.
Well, here's the thing. No, it shouldn't scare you, because all I'm doing is I'm just using your process. This isn't my pick. This is your pick. I'm just using your process. Just what I did. Oregon's played 1 game since January 9th.
Yeah.
Last time we saw them play, both of us bet against them. You had a chance to take, if you remember this, you had a chance to take the Oregon State money line. You thought about it.
I didn't do it. You're right.
Do it.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Maybe that's the play. Maybe that's the play for me. Get on that Wazoo money line.
Yeah,
Wazoo gravy train, baby.
The other one I kind of like.
Do you know who tips off? Do you know who tips off at 2:00 today?
Yeah, I already put it in.
Did you already talk about them on the stream?
No, Tennessee State.
Well, SIU Edwardsville is playing again.
Yes,
they play every day.
Almost every day. I mean, almost. Do I have it here? Hold on.
All right, give me some more major specials. What do you got?
SIU Edwardsville. All right, let me run through for people.
We got Austin P again. We got Austin P is getting 3 at Eastern Kentucky.
So SIU Edwardsville played last Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, again Monday and Tuesday of this week. So I don't know what that adds up to. That's 5 games in the span of less than a week. And again today, same thing with SEMO played Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday. But SIU Edwardsville, like, that's the one. I mean, Tennessee State's not very good, but I don't know if I care. I mean, listen, I just say fade SEMO, fade SIU Edwardsville. Those are the 2 I'm fading. I'm also taking Belmont, given 13. Belmont has been absolutely dominant, and Eastern Illinois played last Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, again on Tuesday. So that's 4 games in 7 days for Eastern Illinois. And Belmont, man, they're talented. They got a good team. Casey Alexander's done a great job. I had one coach call me and say he should be the next coach at Vandy. When Jerry Stackhouse just says Jerry Stackhouse should pull. Do you remember Roberto Duran? You don't remember. He was a boxer. He fought Sugar Ray Leonard. He was dominant. He was my favorite boxer of all time. And he fought Sugar Ray Leonard, and Sugar Ray Leonard just confused him so much that in the middle of the fight, he just said no mas. He just literally threw in the towel and just said no mas, and everybody was so confused. And what's going on? He was like the toughest dude ever. And he just said no mas. That's what Jerry Stackhouse should do. He should just say no mas.
Give it up.
Give it up.
Quit while you're behind.
Yes. So Tennessee State, Tennessee Tech. So we're all about Tennessee State and Tennessee Tech today. We love the Tennessee teams. I like Rutgers. I like Washington State. I like Washington here, Rob. I like Washington. Anytime you're going to tell me that Oregon State is giving 6.5 points, right? Seriously. I mean, come on. That's not going to be a nail-biting game.
You go ahead. I'm staying away from your Washington Huskies.
I'm going to take it. So I go Rutgers, Washington State. So I'm all in the state of Washington. And in fact, you know what? I'm going to be completely all in. I'm going to go Gonzaga too. I'm just going full state of Washington, Washington State, Gonzaga, full state of Tennessee State. It's going to be easy for me today. And Rutgers. That's it.
And Jersey, baby.
And Belmont. Oh, and Belmont, Tennessee.
Belmont's in Tennessee. Belmont's in Tennessee.
I wish I had something. How do I not have anything, state of Washington?
As long as you're not betting on the Vols, you'd be good to go.
I'm not. No. I'm done with that. You should be done with that too.
Oh, God. They'll turn it around. Just wait. that 35-1 future on them winning national titles still going to come good.
Bet Rivers, big game 500, correct? Big game 500.
$500 in free bets.
I'm doing that when I get done here. I'm doing that right away.